And that's when I found a cockroach in my salad. Oh, hey, everybody.
So, yeah, good point. Never go back to that restaurant.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's a national chain, so, you should all avoid that one as well.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, on that note, and on that bombshell, let's do a podcast.
Oh, why not? It's Thursday.
All the cool kids do podcasts.
Yeah. We can be like them one day.
Yeah, I was always the last one picked.
The last of the cool kids?
Yeah, usually the last one picked, and the other team goes, you can have him.
Yeah, for podcasts, it's different.
Oh, okay, good.
We sent you over there first. Okay. Hey,
they call that a human sacrifice.
Well, welcome to Caching in the Northwest, the only podcast dedicated to geocaching in the Great Pacific Northwest. We'll talk about caches and cachers unique to this little corner of the country, so keep away from large, loose boulders. It's time to go caching in the Northwest. In this episode, I'm calling the Canadian takeover. It's been a very polite takeover, but a takeover nonetheless, and it was kind of inevitable.
Thus, with the tribute to the music, that was awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm interested how there's two of us and two of quote-unquote them, but they're taking over, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, if we're going to talk about this topic and talk about Canadians, we need to bring in our traveling Canadian cacher, of course. Some say that to save gas, he only uses 3 wheels of his 4-wheel drive car, and his likeness is on postage stamps in the Yukon. All we know is he's called the Land Monkey.
Hey guys, hello, and hello to our listeners and observers. Sounds like we've got a very interesting show lined up for today. And to help us out tonight, I'd like to introduce our very, very special guest, another traveling Canadian cacher and good friend of the show, Wet Coaster.
Hi there. If this is a bad time for a takeover, we can come back when it's more convenient.
Well, thank you. It was very polite, this takeover. Well, thank you. Now, with Wet Coaster and Land Monkey on the podcast tonight, I'm afraid there won't be anybody left in the Northwest actually listen. Yeah. So, Wet Coaster, where are you joining us from tonight?
Right now, I'm up in Edmonton. I'm working up here on a transit project, and I get to fly home to the Vancouver area about every second or third weekend. So it's the frozen gates of hell up here for most of the winter.
Oh, well, if hell froze over, then I think I have some things I actually need to attend to. I have some commitments I made.
Like flying pigs or anything? Or?
Before we get to know Wet Coaster better, we've got some news.
We do, and I think this is Canadian news, isn't it?
It is.
It's the Canadian takeover. This is from Savona. A geocacher that was rescued off Mount Savona by helicopter after he was left injured by a displaced boulder. This happened around 1 o'clock or 1300 hours on May 2nd. 2 hikers were on Mount Savona about 12 kilometers south of Savona. This is Friday afternoon. And guess what? They took a shortcut to get to a geocache close to the caves. Now, I've been out geocaching and taking shortcuts. It rarely works out well. And in this case, they were off trail. One of the hikers displaced a boulder that rolled onto the other cacher, broke his leg, and badly damaged his arm. Rescuers believed at the time he was going into shock, but when search and rescue crews reached him a couple hours later, he was still conscious and even in good spirits. So I'm thinking that they probably got an FTF. Why else would you be in good spirits with a boulder on you, you know? Because of the terrain filled with large loose boulders, go figure, a helicopter team was brought in from Penticton to assist with the rescue. The external helicopter transport team, it's known as a HETS team. I don't know why it's HETS and not EHTS, but we won't go there. They deploy rescue members by rope below the copter in quote-unquote gnarly terrain. Only a few of these teams operate in the province up there. They arrived on scene shortly after 6 p.m. Now I think we said they were starting out at 1 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's been under that boulder for a while. Within the hour, the patient was loaded in the ambulance and on his way to the hospital. On his way to hospital. I'm sorry, my Canadian's a little rusty. The man was transported in a bag, a clamshell, hooked to a long line and flown to a nearby field where the ambulance was waiting. The rescue just beat out a storm that moved into the area, and lightning could be seen in the distance as the helicopter team worked. I don't think I've ever had an exciting adventure like this, Casey. I need to get up to Canada.
When you come visit, we're not doing that.
Oh, okay.
I'll rush to the geocache in the cave. You stay behind, just for this kind of an adventure.
And special effects in Hollywood would be proud. As soon as the man was loaded into the ambulance, the rain started to fall. Just like in Hollywood, when you're around the corner, the car blows up just out of sight. 19 crew members from 3 different search and rescue crews from Kamloops, Logan Lake, and Nicola Valley, as well as an ambulance team and a helicopter team, were on site for the rescue. Jury's still out as to whether they all signed the log or not, but there's a long URL here in the show notes if you want to go read the story for yourself.
Wow, that is quite the story. I know that area fairly well. In fact, I was just caching in that general area about 2 weeks ago, and it really can be some gnarly terrain up there.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Savona is not a major metropolitan area, so this guy was a long ways from serious medical help. So I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like a happy ending. Also glad for him that's not rattlesnake season yet, although...
Ooh.
I'm not sure if there'd be many up Mount Savona, but in that general region, it's snake area. And there are 3 caches up there. I didn't double check the logs to see who the last one up there was. Although I do have to add, when Mrs. Land Monkey and I were reading the show notes and read up on this story, the first comment she made was, boy, I sure hope that wasn't Mr. Gullible, who's a local cacher who has a little bit of a history of getting himself injured.
If she read the show notes, then there's no way you're going to go ever get this cache.
Yeah, you're never going up there. Forget that.
You've cached with Mrs. Land Monkey. I think that's not entirely true.
This is true.
Well, that's true. You have used her as a stepladder in the past. So.
Yeah, that's on video.
Wow. So it was all a happy ending. It looks like he was laying on the mountain for about 5 hours while waiting for rescue.
And it's still not that warm yet this time of year. So
yeah. So if you're planning to go somewhere remote, just remember, take something with you. Now, a cell phone may not always work. If you're going to go somewhere remote like this, maybe you need some sort of satellite messenger. They make all different models of one. You may look into that. I'm just saying, let's be safe out there. Because
that's one at the very least.
What do you say?
Yeah. He says cache safely and cache often.
Sorry.
There he is.
My audio cut for just a second. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, he forgot his tagline.
I do say cache safely and cache often. Hey, and the other really smart thing this guy did, although I guess it's arguably smart, is that he took a buddy.
Who pushed the boulder?
Who pushed the boulder on him? So it kind of backfired.
Okay, so moral of the story: if you're going caching with a buddy in boulder strewn territory, don't piss off your buddy first. He might roll a boulder on you.
Or don't go with that guy, whoever he is.
Yeah. Don't be that guy.
Oh.
Just stay uphill from him.
Oh man, there you go. Stay uphill.
Be the guy uphill. Don't be the guy down the hill.
So what else is new?
I don't know. I think we're just gonna go sign off after that.
Yeah.
No, we're not. Hey, this very week, May 6th to the 14th, and was it on May 6th? It's the 14th anniversary of geocaching. How cool is that?
Very cool.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I saw somebody go down to the original location where there was an recent epic caching trip. The Land Monkey's Bad Cop and I took there to the original Stash tribute plaque, and it was an awesome trip. It was epic.
It was epic. And that very first cache find, Witsend, was that you? Made that first find?
Well, I'm
Say
old.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah, you're at least 14.
yes. No, sadly, I didn't start caching quite that early. I was caching in 2004, but
That is pretty early in the scheme of
Yeah.
things.
that's not 14 years ago.
No. No, but so the original stash was found 14 years ago this week, started this hobby, this game, this addiction that we call geocaching.
Yeah, they turned off selective availability, which is one of the best things the Clinton administration ever did.
No doubt. So if you want to hear more about that trip, that's episode 39 of Caching in the Northwest. It's a trip to the original stash.
I'm going to go listen to that now.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Oh, wait, no, I'm not. I was there.
It was like you were there. You saw everything in HD. You had this great audio quality.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was wearing Google Glass. Oh, okay.
That's the same thing. I was wearing glass.
Yeah.
But I always do. Okay, Wet Coaster. We have talked enough. Now, thank you so much for
And
coming.
he's still here, too.
He's still here. I don't know why.
I'm held up by the cord.
So tell me, where does your caching name come from, or do we even need to ask?
Well, the family and I moved to the West Coast in '92 from Brampton, Ontario, which is just northwest of Toronto. And as time went on, I was feeling more and more at home out on the coast. And when I registered for Groundspeak, I had to come up with a name. I tried West Coaster, but that was already taken. So since it does get a little moist outside from time to time, I thought Wet Coaster would be a good fit. And when I use it up here, people know right away where I'm from.
Yeah. It's a good
That's
fit.
so true.
Yeah, it fits here, too. So, well, how long ago was that? You said moved to the coast in '92. How long have you been caching?
Well, I registered in Groundspeak in 2007. We bought a GPS, and it said something about an old Magellan. And it said something about geocaching, so I went on the website and registered, and didn't have a clue what I was looking for. I thought these question mark things you're supposed to go and find, so I would put it in the GPS, and I'd go looking for these question marks.
And you still have questions.
Yeah, so my first find was actually in April 2012.
Okay.
Just the TARDIS, which is near where I live, and Land Monkey found it about 6 months after I did. I saw.
Well, nice.
So wait a minute. You started in 2007. Your first find was in 2012, and it's a TARDIS, a time machine.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just checking. So
and I'm also a Doctor Who fan, so it worked out really well.
There you go.
All right. So, Wet Coaster, what got you into caching and Muncie?
I'm a little older, and I needed to lose some weight and get a bit more active. So the doctors said, just go out for walks. And I can't just walk for the sake of walking. I need a purpose while I'm out there. So caching, Muncie, ingress, I do a little bit of cider. It fills the need while I'm out searching, and I've also, while I'm out searching around, and it fills the time. Keeps me occupied.
nice.
Yeah. It's good between the bad weather to get out and the good weather, and I can do some of the same reasons for me to get out and about. It's nice to have some reason to get out and about. So when you are out and about, what are your favorite types of caches to find?
Well, my most favorite are puzzle caches. You get the great rush when you've solved the puzzle. You put it into whichever solver tool is on the website, as long as it's not in Vince. And then And then you get another rush when you actually make the find. So it's a double hit for every puzzle cache.
I like those too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like dropping the coordinates into Google Maps and making sure, it's not middle of a lake or middle of a mall. I figured then I'm not too far off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your all-time favorite cache that you've ever found?
It's a really hard call because there's been so many different caches and that I found in my 2 years. But I'd say Babble Babble in Burnaby at Deer Lake Park was one of my favorites. It's in the middle of a very busy area. It's hidden in the branches of a big tree, but the branches come all the way down to the ground, so that you're actually hidden under this tree while you're searching for it. And there's lots of room. And there's a little brook nearby, so you get the Babble Babble from the name, from the water rushing by. It's actually very nice. A very busy day when I found it, and there were 5 of us under the tree looking for it.
Wow, that's a big tree.
That is a big tree.
I've seen a few of those like that here. That it's cool. Find some neat spaces you've never would have found.
Yeah,
How many of those
there's,
caches?
there's lots of people right around you.
Yeah. Those are the problem here, at least, is I find those big trees and big open spaces in urban areas, and usually there's a homeless tent inside them. So I'm glad you didn't find that up there. Well, how many caches and mungies have you hidden and contributed back to the sport hobby game?
Well, I've hidden one cache. I had planned to have hidden more by now, but traveling back and forth, it's hard. The hide they actually have was a group hide we made last October, but didn't release it until March of this year. And I've got 33 munsies out in the wild right now.
They're a little easier to put out.
I'm on a 6-day hide and capture streak right now with munsie.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
So Wet Coaster, we had breakfast together recently at an event, and you shared some interesting caching stories with us, and in particular one sticks out in my mind. It's one about a large, slow-moving, hairy muggle, and I'm not talking about Wit's End.
Hey now.
Well, he is hairy.
Oh yes, Land Monkey. The mosquitoes up here are large and of epic proportions all across the prairies. Oh, the other ones. Just east of Edmonton, there's a Canadian national park called Elk Island National Park. I've yet to see any elk there, so I'm a little mystified. But it's about 194 square kilometers, and it's fully fenced because of the animals inside, and it's to keep the predators out of the park. It's home to moose, beaver, elk, deer, chipmunks, and about 600 or 700 bison. I've been there several times in the last year that I've been up here. The first time I went up, I didn't see any bison at all because there's a single road up the middle of the park, and there's a lot of place for the bison to go.
Right.
Last summer, I took a coworker up there who was originally from Taiwan and now living in Vancouver to go and see some bison because he'd never seen any live bison. He'd seen pictures. And I promised him we'd go. We may not see anything because it's a big park. We went about this road that goes north-south through the park. We went about 3/4 of the way up. Didn't see anything. No animals at all. But we stopped. There's a little golf course actually up in the park, that little 9-hole golf course that they put in the 30s, I think it was. And there's a clubhouse there, and we had some bison burgers. So at least they got to see some bison.
Yeah, between buns, that doesn't count. No wonder you're not seeing bison. You're scaring them off.
You're like a Flintstone.
Anyways, on the way. They're actually quite good. Anyways, on the way back down to the main highway going south, we came across a small herd of about 40 bison blocking the road.
Were they protesting against the burgers?
Probably.
I hope not.
Oh, you're right. This is in Alberta, not BC. Got it. Okay.
That's an inside
Well, they wouldn't be
Canadian joke there.
They don't protest anything up here. Too many people are armed.
Yeah.
The thing to remember is these are very large animals. They're, from the literature I saw up there, they're the largest native land animal in North America. Moose, I think, are taller, but these are just massive creatures.
Yeah.
At the time, I was driving a Dakota pickup truck, and the largest male that was obviously in charge of this herd, the hump on his back was taller than the cab on the truck.
Wow.
Wow, that's a massive animal.
It's just amazing things. But they don't have a problem with the cars and trucks on the road up there, because
they're as
people
big as
drive
the
through
cars and trucks.
all the time. Yeah. It only stands to reason you do not annoy these animals. They slowly wander across the road, and eventually you can carry on driving. I could see a car in the lineup coming north, because we were sort of stopped. It was a nice paved road, and the driver honked his horn. I could then see the woman beside him start to beat him.
I am
Smart
not
woman,
going to
dumb
die
man.
here.
Yeah. Bison don't know Morse code. What's he trying to communicate that way for?
It's not going to hurry them along. It'll just annoy them.
Yeah.
Like in Blazing Saddles when they go to get Mongo. No, don't take your gun. That'll just annoy him. And while we were in the middle of the herd, you slowly creep up as the herd slowly parts away. The musk from the animals was a little on the strong side, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And we were stuck in this herd for about 25 minutes.
Wow.
Wow. I once had to drive a truck through a union labor picket line. It was kind of the same situation.
Yeah, sounds. The smell would be about right.
Yeah, they're just about as big too.
Wow. Okay, there's a lot of bull in that story. And I'm not talking about Wet Coaster. Wow, that's impressive. I mean, I've seen animals on the roadway, but nothing to this extent. That's really impressive. So now Wet Coaster, you provide feedback on almost every show, and we really appreciate that. You recently provided some feedback on our episode for extending battery life of smartphones. In particular, you were talking about how extreme temperatures affects batteries. So tell us a little bit more of this experience firsthand.
Well, every winter up here in Edmonton since 2007, the local cachers have held a CAR-W event. They call it Cache and Release Winter. It's to get people out. They like winter caching up here.
They don't have
Why,
a
but
choice.
they don't.
That's good because they have a lot of winter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about a six month season up here. So surprisingly, this year it was called CAR-W 2014.
How creative.
And all the caches started with CAR-W 2014, so you could search for them easy. Altogether there were 4 events and 112 caches released for that weekend.
Wow.
So that also means in February there's almost no new caches up here.
Everything's getting ready for the CAR-W event?
Yeah. All the cache pages say from 9 a.m. Saturday, March 1st till 2 p.m. Sunday, March 24th. Find as many CAR-W 2014 caches as you can. There's puzzles, traditionals, earth caches, multi-caches. The theme this year was no spruce trees were harmed for this event, as many of the locals are tired of bison tubes and spruce trees.
Aren't we all?
Oh, I should have made a bison joke about the buffalo. I missed that one. Sorry, guys.
Low-hanging
That's
fruit.
okay. Carry us along, Gary.
They were placing, they were placing about a 75-kilometer diameter around the city of Edmonton. So it was a large area. And I forgot to mention the temperature on March the 1st this year in Edmonton was minus 30 degrees Celsius or minus 22 Fahrenheit. So
Not fun.
there were 4 of us that went out searching. There was 3 other local cachers, Boom Bear, Tup Tim, and Kiwi Birdman. And it did warm up to minus 25 during the day because it was a nice, bright, sunny day, not a cloud in the sky.
Heat wave.
Yeah, just made it a little on the chilly side of. Yeah, it was on the chilly side of freaking cold.
Oh yeah.
But as long as you layer up, you're actually pretty good.
I found after 60 or
honest,
70 layers, you're doing just great.
Yeah.
I can't put my arms down.
Stay Puff Marshmallow Man.
It also didn't hurt that
there's-
one of the guys had a pickup truck with every option you can think of.
Oh yeah.
Heated seats, front and rear,
Mm.
backup camera, floorboards that when you open the door, the floorboards come up from underneath
Oh nice.
to help you step down.
It's handy.
That day, the 4 of us found 61 caches and attended 1 event.
Wow.
Pretty
You
good.
found half of the caches.
That's a productive day in summer weather.
Yeah.
There were one group of 3 guys up here that cached all night and found 110 of the 112 caches. They DNF'd
Wow.
the 2 they didn't find.
Huh.
They found my hide at 1:30 in the morning, and by then it was back to minus 30.
Oh my goodness.
And it was out in a wilderness area, so there was no lights, no trail.
Mm.
These guys are insane. Anyway, the battery part, the 2 of the guys that I was with were primarily using iPhones to cache. And it was fine when we were doing little power trails in and out of the truck and whatnot. But if we were out for 20 minutes, then their phones were basically dead.
Yeah.
And I was able to, I had all the event caches in my GPS, so I was able to delete a few times because they didn't know where the caches were. And another
Your
time,
phone dies.
my phone was warm because I kept it inside my coat, and I was able to get some caches that weren't car W caches and give these guys the coordinates at least
Yeah.
from my phone because it still worked. But once we got in the truck and things warmed up, their batteries were back up to what they should be.
Yeah, there's some things just don't work right unless they get warmed up again.
Yeah.
Batteries are on that list. Wits End is also on that list.
So have you warmed up by this point in the show? Are you ready to go?
Well, the jury's still out, but we'll figure it out when we get there. I don't know.
We
So,
had
wow,
snow
that's-
here on Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, I have a friend that's in South Dakota area that I saw on Facebook. She was getting snow and 25 degrees, and yeah, I like the snow, just not that much. Well, you also mentioned using solar. You mentioned a Goal Zero solar kit, and you know what's funny? Bad Cop mentioned that he sees Goal Zero in Costco from time to time. No kidding, the day after that we mentioned it in the podcast, he and I were at Costco for lunch because $1.50 hot dogs are in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, there's a Goal Zero solar display. It shows you the timeliness of our podcasts.
It does indeed, and I've looked in the Costco near me in the Langley area, and I have not seen one of those kits up here. I'm going to have to make a trip down there.
Come on down.
Actually, I bought my Goal Zero at Costco in Surrey.
There you
For
go.
Pete's sake. I'm going to the wrong Costco.
Your Costco just doesn't have.
Well,
Next-
they're
next
not there
one
all
over.
the time. They travel through, so it was probably just a timing issue.
That could be. Usually, I found if there's something at Costco I like, you'd better buy it when you see it because next week it won't be there.
Costco
So-
isn't shopping; it's more of hunting.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So, do you use your solar kit in your caching and Munzie adventures?
I usually take the 4-pack of charged AA batteries and use them if I need them. If my phone's dying, I use the USB port on the pack.
Uh-huh.
If my GPS is dying, I use a couple of the batteries. The USB port's also handy when I'm out playing Ingress, because that really tends to eat the batteries in my phone.
Sure.
Yeah, it does. So, are you charging the battery pack with the solar panel? Is it, just say, for instance, sitting in a window, or do you leave it in your car?
I usually leave it in the window of my apartment or at home when I'm at home. If I had it in the car, I'd probably have the battery pack in my pocket because it'd be in and out caching.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't gone on any road trips for caching, but I'd probably put it in the underneath the back window, say as we're driving, to keep it charged up, and then pull the battery pack out when we hit the trail.
Sure. Yeah, it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah, it's cool. I have to keep my eyes open for that then, see what I can find something like that around here. So here, switching topics just a little bit. That's my segue. On a previous show,
That was smooth.
yeah, thank you. Slide that right in. On a previous show, you mentioned a huge, and I believe it is the largest or longest or whatever measurement we use for these kind of things in the world. Hugest 104 stage multi-cache in your area. Can you tell us GC code or anything more about this ambitious cache?
Okay, it's GC4ZW3A.
Thank you for speaking in Canadian.
Well, it is a Canadian cache, after all.
It's a 5.5 multi-cache, but it's back in Ontario.
Okay.
I heard about it from the Geocaching Edmonton Facebook page.
Awesome.
I really wanted to see this, and I wrote down the code wrong, so I had to wait till I got a hold of Gary, and I looked, and there's been 4 finders on this cache so far. And the first to find went to a group of 3 cachers that spent 3 days getting all the stages. I read a couple of the logs, and when they use phrases like, the first 50 stages were good, you know you're in for an adventure.
Wow. And is every stage a puzzle?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know. I don't think so. I don't think there are any puzzles. Well, yeah, some of them.
It looked like there was one stage kind of in the middle where you had to do a field puzzle, but other than that, I think from what I could read of it,
and there was one stage where you needed a UV light. So, the cacher that placed this is Lego, L.E.G.O. And he also has a 67 virtual caches in the shape of, you guessed it, a maple leaf, sitting right in the middle of Lake Huron. So,
cool.
I simply cannot comprehend the amount of work that went into a 104 stage multi. I mean, the maintenance of these stages just must be a killer.
Not to mention he's used up all the possible cache hiding spots in the immediate area.
How would you like to be a reviewer there? No, can't place one there. Nope, not there. Nope, not there either.
Wow.
So, Wet Coaster, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's nice to see your face, hear your voice, and I look forward to hearing you on the podcast and in the comments again. So, thank you for your consistent input to Caching in the Northwest.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot, guys.
We loved having you, except I don't think anybody's out there listening tonight.
That's right,
I
you're on the
forgot to
show
tell
this
my
time.
wife this was on.
Uh-oh.
Well, she'll be
She's
able
not
to
a
get
she's not a
the
cacher, so.
she'll be able to get the YouTube or the audio of it. So
No.
There you go.
she can still see your face.
Yeah, she's not
Yeah.
a cacher, so.
Yeah, but she'll want to hear you talk.
Well, I
Right?
suppose. She hears me talk all the time.
Oh, okay. No, maybe she won't then. Maybe she'll like one of us. I don't know.
Maybe she'll be hungry for bison burgers when it's all said and done.
But she did join us that last Saturday when we met last Land Monkey.
That's true. Yeah,
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
that was a good breakfast.
Yeah, it was. That's a nice place.
Was there German pancakes involved?
There weren't German pancakes, but it's I think about every quarter there's a couple out in the Ladner area that host an event, and it's always at the same restaurant. It's at the airport out there, and they've got a pretty decent little restaurant. So
Nice.
I do like me a good breakfast.
Yeah.
Yes, you
It's the
do.
international airport.
That's right.
That's the
Boundary-
International House of Planes.
Boundary
Hi,
Bay International Airport. I think we were discussing that last time. What was your comment, Wet Coaster, about why it's the international airport?
You can see the U.S. from it.
That makes it international.
There you go.
I love that answer.
You can see Point Roberts.
There you go. Well, I think we're wrapping up another show, isn't it?
I think we have.
Yeah.
A good one.
Well, I want to take this time to thank you, whoever you are out there, with Garrett, with Wet Coaster on the show, for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. You know, you can be a part of the show. Call 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, correction, or question anytime, day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com and visit cachingnw.com for the show notes on this show or more about any other Caching in the Northwest podcast. Your support helps to keep quality shows coming. If you like this show, please click the PayPal button on the website, won't you please? This show is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license. Copyright 2014 by Chris O'Connor.
Thank you, gentlemen. Another show's in the can.
Always love that expression.